Everyone. Well, I wish I could see your faces, but I'm imagining a bunch of wonderful young people who are smiling and excited about today. I know that we're really excited to be here. So before we get started, I also wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge what's currently going on in our country. While it may not totally relate to our presentation on e-cigarettes, there are a lot of parallels when it comes to social justice and empowering your generation for change. We know that some of you might be feeling anxious or stressed about some of these recent acts, but know that there are people to support you. And I see that in the chat box, there are some wonderful resources that you can take advantage of if needed, and you're always welcome to reach out to us as well. So as a prevention and empowerment program, our goal is really that we commit to fairness. We have a mission and a responsibility to advocate for optimal health and well-being for everyone, no matter their race, their age, their gender, their sexual orientation, their class, or their religious belief. And so an important part of that mission is standing up against injustice when we see it and standing with those who are suffering and in pain. We also know that action is needed, and our team is taking this time to examine what we can do, not just today, but in the future, to make our entire community more aware, unified, and fair. And so we honestly hope that our message of unity and empowerment resonate with other young people across the state so we can come together to evoke change. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. And we're really excited to dive into another topic that we're passionate about and that we hope to inspire some other change makers and like you to get involved with. So I believe Dillon is now sharing our slides. So I have been working in tobacco prevention and control for about 10 years now, which seems crazy to me. But about 2 years ago, we developed this program called I Can End the Trend. And it's an e-cigarette prevention and empowerment program. And our goal is to really promote awareness, inspire others to get involved, and really reach Kentucky, but also beyond. So far, we have reached over 5,000 students across the state of Kentucky. And we're excited to keep reaching more students, whether it's virtually or whether it's in person, we're able to adapt to that. But we know that use of e-cigarettes is an issue, and it's probably happening in your schools. So today we're really just here to have a conversation with you about what we can do, making sure that you have some of the facts and not some of the misperceptions out there. And I'm so excited today because we have two of our college facilitators of I Can End the Trend, Sierrah, Miley, and Dillon, and they are two leaders in this area. They are young adults who are making a difference every single day. And so I think you'll really enjoy hearing from them. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about what we can all do to end this trend. So we're looking forward to your participation and ideas throughout. And I'm going to turn it over to Sierrah and Dillon, and you'll see me a little bit later.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Dillon Lay. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Kentucky, and I also serve as a hashtag I Can End the Trend college facilitator.
And I am Sierrah Miley. I am also a recent graduate at the University of Kentucky, and I've been a college facilitator for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years coming up, so it seems crazy to think. But before we get started, I just want to go ahead and say that our model and our approach really is about a conversation with you guys. So we don't want you all to feel like we're lecturing you, and we really want this presentation to be as interactive as possible. With that being said, I know things are a little bit different because we are virtual. So we will be asking a lot of questions throughout this presentation. So I just ask that you guys really utilize that chat function and really are open and honest. This is a safe place, and the more open and honest you guys are, the more you learn and the more we learn from you, because again, we are students too. So for virtual expectations, this is a little bit different, like I was saying. So you guys are muted, and then typically there's a raise your hand feature, but I think we're gonna just try to utilize that chat function as I was saying. So you will need your phone or laptop, and then if you have a pencil and paper on hand, go ahead and use that, but if not, again, we're gonna use that chat function. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to just ask in that chat. If we don't get to your questions by the end of the presentation, we will provide contact information for you guys to be able to reach out to us, and we will address those questions. So without further ado, let's get started. So have you seen these in your school? So thinking about e-cigarettes, what do you guys think the most popular e-cig brands are within your schools? What are you all seeing? So you can go ahead and start chatting. Jewel, that's good. What else? Okay, anything else? Yeah, so Juul is a huge popular e-cig brand. And then we also know that other disposables such as Puff Bar and Mr. Fogg, the blue are also huge. Yes, you said Puff Bar. Yeah, those are all popular disposable brands. So why do you guys think that these brands specifically, such as Juul, Puff Bar, are popular? So why are these disposables, do you think, why have they become so popular in the past couple of years, specifically with youth? Easy access, flavors, small, easy to hide. Yeah, these are such good answers. Wow, you guys are great. I'm loving these answers. Yeah, exactly. So they're easy to buy. Other people are using them. They're easy to hide. The flavors, all of these are such great answers. So we just want to reinforce that all of these different types of e-cigarettes that you see on your screen, they are considered, sometimes people refer to them as vaping devices, and these vaping devices are all e-cigarettes. And we know that electronic cigarettes almost always contain nicotine. So we're gonna have a conversation about exactly what these trendy devices are, and then what they can do to us, and then what we as student leaders can do to try to reverse that trend. So I just want to reinforce on the screen, as you can see, that there are different shapes and sizes. And so these always are changing. So they're changing every single day. So Juul has been a very popular brand over the past couple years. And then Juul, sometimes there are different regulations on certain types of e-cigarettes. And then the disposable e-cigarettes sometimes do get around those loopholes and those policies that you guys probably have seen headlines about. So we just kind of want to make sure that there's a clear understanding that all of these devices, no matter their shapes and sizes, they are e-cigarettes, and they almost always do contain nicotine. So do you guys think that vaping is a big problem in your school or community? Have you seen things like this? What are your thoughts about the recent vaping within your schools? Yeah, right. So it is a huge problem. And so we know that. Dillon, you can go to the next slide.
So why is everyone concerned? Like, what's the big deal here? Why is everyone talking about e-cigarettes? So we know that in 2019, about 5 million high school students or youth are currently using e-cigarettes. So that is a ton of kids, it seems like. And that's true. And, while cigarette usage has decreased over the last few years, especially recently, we've done a great job with that, creating regulations, being advocates, speaking out against cigarette usage. Again, 5 million youth are now using e-cigarettes. So we obviously have a problem. So in the chat box, when did you all start noticing people using e-cigarettes in your school? Sierrah and Dr. Ickes, if you could read some out.
Yeah, so middle school, freshman year, high school, late 8th grade. So good variety.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So absolutely. Sierrah and I have noticed this on our college campus as well. So if you all notice in the graph on the bottom left, in 2017, there was a huge spike in e-cigarette usage among young people. And around that time, that's when Juul happened to come on the market. So we can, kind of attest for Juul being a pretty big and playing a big and important role in the e-cigarette usage among young people. So now in 2019, about 27.5% of high school students are using e-cigarettes. So we obviously have a problem. And we also have a problem in the state of Kentucky as well, not just nationally. So as you can see on the right from the Kentucky Incentives for Prevention survey, 30-day tobacco usage. So you can see from 2014 to 2016 to 2018, it's a steady increase each year among each grade level. So again, guys, I mean, we have a problem, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So we will continue on that. So as I said, about 5 million high school students are using e-cigarettes, but not all youth are using. So actually about 73% of youth are not using e-cigarettes. So if you ever feel left out, if you ever feel like you don't fit in because you don't use an e-cigarette, that's not the case at all. You are actually in the vast majority of those who do not use e-cigarettes. So again, just keep that in mind as we continue to go through this presentation and talk about all of these, all the problems and health concerns and so on further on into the presentation. So how many of you all have seen headlines like this in the news or social media, especially in the last year or so? Have you all seen headlines like these?
Yes, Dillon, lots of them.
Lots of yeses. Good. Yeah. So, right. I mean, you know, we all have. We've all seen these pretty concerning headlines, and that's what they are. They're concerning. Teens who use e-cigarette exposed to toxic chemicals, study finds. And, you know, a lot of times we may kind of just blow over these headlines on the news. We may just ignore them. We may not talk to our friends about them. But we really do need to pay more attention to these headlines, especially as they continue to come about and as more young people are being admitted into the hospital. So just reading these headlines right here, how do these headlines make you feel? They make you feel like kind of scared or like worried?
Yeah, scared to try them, Dillon. And a lot of them have read these articles from their teachers.
Sure. Yeah. So great. That's great. Sierrah, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So I think it's awesome that you guys are actually reading these articles and learning more about it. But sometimes, since it is easy for a lot of us to discount headlines like these, I'm thinking maybe this won't actually happen to us, or this won't happen to our friends. And sometimes even me, I'm very guilty of feeling invincible. And I think that happens with a lot of youth, just in general, or anyone in general, we feel invincible. So next, we kind of want to dive deeper into how this has really affected people specifically and personally. So initially, we're going to show you guys a teen sharing their story, and this is our friend Luca. He actually gave a presentation, a webinar similar to this. He was supposed to come here, but he gave a webinar and shared his story. And we thank Luca a lot because we know that this can happen to any of us. So let's hear from Luca talking about his experience.
Vaping was my biggest addiction. It wound me up in the hospital with a seizure, and it also wound me up in rehab. I started using nicotine in 8th grade. I started using chewing tobacco, and I did cigarettes and cigars, but vaping was my biggest addiction. It lasted for about 15 months of my high school career. I wanted to start vaping and juuling was to quit, and that's what I told my parents when they figured out that I was smoking cigarettes. I told them, hey, I'm going to start juuling, I'm going to start vaping, because it's healthier than cigarettes and it's a good way to get off. And they quickly realized that it was very wrong. I was a straight-A student. I went to failing. I used to play 2 sports, soccer and basketball, quit freshman year, and I quickly became very irritable, very angry all the time. At home, I was super explosive. I would damage property when I was mad, or I'd be really super aggressive. And my whole perspective on life had changed. prior to my seizure, for I'd say probably about 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I had really intense chest pains, cold sweats. I felt really weak, and then I have insomnia at night. And I thought that was really peculiar. I remember even talking to my mom, thinking like, "Oh my gosh, like these are signs of a heart attack." But after the seizure, when I went out, I got checked by a cardiologist and a few other doctors, and they said that the chest pains were definitely from inflammation from vaping.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that, Dillon. So as you can see, this is affecting people personally. And towards the end of the presentation, we do have another video from someone that shared their story that is a student from Kentucky. So we know that this is happening personally to our friends and our family members or someone that we may know as a peer. And so today we're going to really focus on brainstorming ways that we can prevent this from happening to people that we know and how we can end the trend. So specifically, what can e-cigarettes do to our health? So as you can see right here, typically, do you guys know anything off the top of your head, health consequences of e-cigarettes? You can just go ahead and chat anything that you may know off the top of your head. And if not, no worries, I'll go ahead and get started. So just to kind of briefly touch on some of the health consequences. So one of the things up here, you can see the brain at the top. Dillon, if you'll go ahead and click those. Yeah, so nicotine's harmful to brain development, specifically to youth and young adults. So we're uniquely at risk for these long-term lasting health effects because they can have an effect on mood disorders and permanently affecting our impulse control. And so that is something that's very prevalent to us because we're still learning and our brain isn't developed fully until the age of 25. And so if you're ever having a hard time concentrating in class and you are using e-cigarettes, this could be a very relevant reason why. Another issue is irritation and cough and asthma, so your respiratory issues. So this does reduce the lung capacity of your lung function. So if you're an athlete or you like exercising, this is something that could affect you directly. And this is not only long-term issues, but these are short-term issues too that again, we're not invincible, and these can and have happened to many users that are even younger than 18 years old. Another very relevant issue is increased heart rate. So this is something that could happen short term, and then in the future, it can also happen long term with cardiovascular disease risks. But something I do want to make note of is e-cigarettes don't cause these things directly, but the chemicals within the e-cigarettes are related to these health consequences. So if we go to the next slide, we'll kind of touch base on the research that we have found. So these chemicals listed on the screen have been found within e-cigarettes, and then they have also been found within the flavorings of e-cigarettes. And also, in addition to inhaling an e-cigarette, we also, when we exhale, we're also producing a substance called aerosol. So aerosol is something that can be described or related to secondhand smoke. So we like to call this secondhand aerosol. And aerosol has these particles that do contain the heavy metals, nicotine, diacetyl. So as you can see at the screen, these different chemicals are related and linked to these different health consequences. So diacetyl and popcorn lung, formaldehyde are linked to carcinogens, and heavy metals are linked to asthma. And so one thing I do want to touch on are these, as we all know, these products are very new. And so research is coming out every single day. I know when Dillon and I first started presenting these, we didn't even have this list of chemicals because, again, new research is coming out every single day. And so as time progresses, there is going to be more information that we end up learning about the health consequences that these products can cause. And so because of this, we're essentially being used as guinea pigs. Dillon.
So, Sierrah kind of touched on this topic right now. Nicotine. So nicotine is a chemical that is found in e-cigarettes. So just given what you know about nicotine, what are your all's thoughts on nicotine? What do you know about it? Sierrah, you're on mute there.
Addictive, harmful, and addictive. very
harmful.
unhealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. So all those are absolutely correct. So nicotine is a very highly addictive substance, and even harmful to brain development, as Sierra kind of mentioned as well. So our brain doesn't develop until we're about 25 years old. So, I'm 22. You all are a few years younger than I am. So we still have a few years until our brain truly fully develops. So if we are exposed to nicotine, our brain's not going to be able to tell us to stop using that. It's actually going to do the exact opposite. We're going to continue to want more nicotine and more and more and more until we become dependent or addicted to nicotine. So how many of you knew that one Juul pod or one disposable e-cigarette, it has the equivalent nicotine concentration of one pack of cigarettes or 20 cigarettes?
Yeah, it says there are posters over all over the school saying that. They've heard that. Some of them didn't know that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a fact, right? So, young people who would never, ever pick up a cigarette in their entire life are becoming addicted to nicotine. Some people are going through multiple pods a week or multiple disposables in a week. And, if you think about it, that's almost the same as taking in 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes worth of nicotine in an entire week. So again, we as young people are at a very high risk of becoming dependent or addicted to nicotine. Also, you're 4 times more likely to smoke cigarettes if you use an e-cigarette. So again, if you already use an e-cigarette, or if someone you already know uses an e-cigarette, you have a higher chance of actually smoking cigarettes in the future. So again, just to keep nicotine in your mind, again, as we go through this presentation, it's addictive, it's harmful to your brain development, and cause a lot of health issues and problems. All right, so we've talked a little bit about nicotine. We've talked about some of the health consequences and other chemicals in e-cigarettes. But what about the financial burden? This is something that's not talked about too much when it comes to e-cigarettes. But how many of you all know how much a pack of Juul pods cost? A pack of 4 pods. How much are those?
$12, $13.
$12, $13. All right.
$20.
20. All right, good guesses. We'll go ahead and do the reveal here. So they're about $15, $16. So, that's not very cheap, right? So again, that's 1 pack of Juul pods, about $15 to $16. So what about the Juul starter kit? How much is a Juul starter kit when you just purchase the Juul itself?
$25, $30, $20.
Right. All right. Yeah. All good guesses. So $35. All right. You all were super close. So yeah, $35. So what about a disposable or a puff bar or just any disposable e-cigarette? How much are you going to be paying for that?
$10.
$10.
15.
15. All right. So these are going to be about $8, right? So again, these aren't very cheap items, especially if you're buying, multiple pods a week or multiple puff bars or disposables a week. So if I were an average Juul user, how much money would I be spending at the end of the year if I bought 1 pack of Juul pods once a week for an entire year? How much money would I be spending at the end of that year?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So you're actually going to be spending about $2,160, right? So that is a ton of money. And then if you do the same thing with disposables, you're even going to be spending about $4,000, a little over $4,000. So you take that $2,000 or $4,000 and you think, why would I drop 2K or 4K on jewel pods or disposables? We could buy so much more with that money, and instead of these e-cigarettes. So, why are we giving this presentation virtually right now? And obviously, Sierrah and Dr. Ickes kind of talked a little bit about this as well. But, the reality of our world right now, is obviously COVID-19 is a very serious issue. It's a global pandemic, and, that's just the reality right now. So how does this tie in with e-cigarettes? If you use an e-cigarette, you could be at a higher risk of getting COVID-19, especially, if you are, sharing your e-cigarette, or if you're constantly putting your hands in your mouth. So, there are risks associated with using e-cigarettes, even when we don't necessarily think about them. So again, with the pandemic, with COVID-19, that's just another risk factor that we have to consider when we are thinking about e-cigarettes.
Yeah, and so I think we're going to skip the Kahoot for now, but one other thing that I do want to mention is, if you go back to the last slide real quick, Dillon, e-cigarettes in our world. Another really big issue with e-cigarettes in our world specifically is e-liquid is something that is within these e-cigarettes. When you're thinking of disposing them, you're thinking about this e-liquid is considered an acute hazardous waste. So this means it's very toxic and can harm not only us, but our environment as well. And so in addition to that, the batteries found within these e-cigarettes are considered universal waste, which is another type of hazardous waste. So basically, when you're disposing of these e-cigarettes, whether it's recycling or disposing them within the trash cans, there isn't actually a recommended way to dispose of these cigarettes. So e-cigarettes are producing a lot of waste, and waste that is hazardous. So not only are e-cigarettes bad for our health, they have negative health consequences, negative financial consequences, put us more at risk for different viruses. In addition, they also harm others and our world around us. So if you'll continue going, Dillon, we think about all of these different risks and negative consequences of using e-cigarettes. But something I asked you guys at the beginning is, why are youth using? And so a lot of you guys were saying flavors, and other people are doing it, and they're easy to access, they're easy to hide. So we really want to hit on why youth are using, and we really want to talk about the flavors. We want to talk about peer pressure and life stressors, and because your friends are doing it. But we also want to talk about how these advertisements and these flavors are really targeted towards youth. So these big tobacco companies are targeting youth because of the lack of tobacco prevention and nicotine dependence education that youth do have. So if you'll go a little bit more, Dillon, I'll go more in depth of these advertisements in general. So when you're looking at these advertisements, what do you guys notice initially? Colors. What else? Yeah, the flavors. So the candy. Yeah, young people, youthful. Yeah, all of these are really good. Sweets. So when we typically are looking at these advertisements, we recognize fun, cozy. We're focusing on the flavors, and the youthful and funness makes these items look trendy. And so it makes these products also look not only trendy, but it makes them seem harmless. And so what you don't typically notice about these advertisements are the really small warning label. And that's very intentional because, again, they want us to think that these products are far from harmful and that they're harmless. And then in addition to creating these advertisements with fun, vibrant, youthful colors and illustrations, they're also placing these advertisements extremely strategically. So they're placing these advertisements, if you look on the far left of the PowerPoint, you kind of see and you kind of don't see where there's flavorings at the top. And again, this is very intentional because this is where youth are shopping. They see these yummy, delicious snacks and candies, and then they see the flavorings. And so the big tobacco companies are trying to compare these flavors as something that are good for you, and that's something that you'll enjoy. So again, it's just good to remember that this is very strategic. And the Journal of American Medical Association does say that 81% of youth who ever try a type of tobacco is flavored. So there are more than 15,500 different flavors within these e-juices and counting. Yeah, so you can go ahead with the advertisements.
All right. So, when thinking about these companies are not only targeting youth, but they are also targeting other vulnerable populations as well. This includes African American communities, rural communities, even LGBTQ individuals, and even other communities as well. So if you look on some of these graphics here, there are up to 10 times more tobacco ads in Black neighborhoods than there are other neighborhoods. And as you can see below here, the vape with pride. So, e-cigarette companies target these groups, target these individuals as well. And also, there are more tobacco retailers near schools in low income areas than in other areas. They feed off of low income areas, and that's what they do. They're smart in their approach in doing so. Using what we know here, how much money do these tobacco industries put towards advertising to these groups in youth as well? So how much do e-cigarette companies spend a year on advertising, if you had to guess?
A lot. Millions.
Millions. All right. Yeah. All right. So you're right with the millions. So $110 million a year, right? That is a ton of money, especially when, they're targeting low income areas, African American communities, LGBTQ individuals as well. That's a ton of money. And, this is also a social justice issue that, takes all of us to stand up to, takes all of us to recognize as well. So just again, $110 million spending on advertising for these e-cigarette companies, right? So that's their priority. They want to target you all. They want to target young people. They want to target us. So again, we're being, used by these tobacco industries in their approach to try to get us to use their products. So, I'm sure, most of you in here probably have social media. We've probably seen tweets, Instagram posts, or TikToks, whatever it may be, pertaining to e-cigarettes. So, for example, these, were from Twitter. I got mango jewel pods, come down here, come in the drain. Little boy's like, all right, I'm down. I'm coming there to get my mango pods. So, it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be something that a lot of people view and retweet. But, if you, when it comes down to it, we're actually almost advertising these products for the e-cigarette companies when we're sharing tweets like this and funny pictures like this. So, we're almost advertising these products for the companies. So just be aware when you do see tweets, TikToks, Instagram posts, whatever it may be on social media that are, funny tweets about e-cigarettes. Just keep in mind not to share those, as they may be an advertisement for e-cigarette companies. So, up until now, we've talked about a lot. It's a lot to take in. So, as I said earlier, 73% of young people are not using e-cigarettes. As Sierrah said, it's not just water vapor. It's a dangerous aerosol that's harmful and invasive to your lungs, and not only you, but to others as well, others around you. There's a high nicotine concentration. So you're the e-cigarettes, the jewel pods, the disposables, puff bars have the equivalency of 20 cigarettes worth of nicotine. And this is also a trend that we are able to reverse. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about right now.
So when thinking about what a trend is, and we think about some of the common trends, we think about, okay, what's the definition of a trend? So it's something that's popular for a period of time. So as you can see on the screen, the Crocs, the scrunchie, and then TikTok. And then we think about other things such as like silly bands, the cinnamon challenge, planking, and all different things. And so we think about, okay, well, why did these silly things become so popular? And you think about, okay, well, my friends were doing it, so I did it. And it's something that we enjoy. It's something that's funny. We do it because of curiosity, just a lot of different things. But when we think about trends, and we also think about the definition of trends, we kind of consider e-cigarettes a trend as well. So it's something that everyone's doing. And so what's the big difference between the trends that are on the screen and the trend of an e-cigarette use by youth? So we look back on the generation of traditional cigarettes and we realize that was also used to be a trend. And we think about how crazy it was that people used to smoke cigarettes. And so what the difference is these things are silly and they're fun and they fade away for a little bit of time. But when in terms of e-cigarettes being a trend, this is something that has far larger consequences and is something that doesn't fade away as quickly if we don't do something about it. And so the goal of our program, and something that Dillon and I take a lot of pride in, is doing a lot of work to end the trend of e-cigarette use. And so but we aren't the only ones that need to make a difference. We need everybody, and especially in Kentucky, we need as many youth on board as possible. And so you guys are student leaders and you're advocates. So with the rest of this presentation, we're going to talk about how you specifically can end the trend. And so we'll get a little bit more into brainstorming, but we kind of wanted to provide you with a little bit of information just so you can get the wheels turning and think about ways that you can specifically end this trend. So supporting friends and family, knowing the resources, creating your own messages, and recognizing when certain messages are being manipulated by these big tobacco companies, being your own influencer and posting messages on social media that tell the truth, and then advocate for policies that work and that make sense. So we'll go more in depth about supporting friends. I think we'll skip this video. Basically, Landon just really talks about how nicotine dependence really changed his perspective on vaping and how quitting has really changed his mindset moving forward. And so most tobacco users, they need practice quitting before they master it. It's not going to take 1 or 2 times. It might take several times. And so it's important for us to learn how to be patient with our friends or our peers that are wanting to quit, or even yourself if you're wanting to quit. It's important to be patient and telling your friend or yourself that you can do this, and a simple "you got this" and being there for your friends is extremely important.
Yeah, and since we're running, a little short on time, we'll make sure to still kind of get the videos out to yourself and others as well. So the good news is there are quitting resources available. These up on the screen are really great resources for you or a family member or friend who is interested in quitting using e-cigarettes or tobacco products for that matter as well. So if you're interested in any of these, please reach out to us after the presentation. We would be absolutely more than happy to share these with you, or you could take it down yourself as well. So if you had a friend, if you had a family member who was going to use an e-cigarette or who does use an e-cigarette as well, what would you say to them? Given all that we've talked about in the presentation, or given all that you already know about e-cigarettes, what would you say to a friend that is considering using an e-cigarette or is even wanting to quit?
Make them aware of the effects. Any other ideas? It can affect their futures in a negative light. Warn them of the effects. Tell them stories of how their other friends are failing and losing other friends, the long-term consequences, more harm is done than benefits. Talk about the cost and the financial aspect, and then provide them resources and tools for them to quit.
Yeah,
those are great.
Those
and
are
how
great.
addictive it is. Yeah, these are awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for those responses. And we're really, really happy to hear you all say that, because you are the influencers, you are the advocates on the ground, trying to make this change and trying to make this difference as well. So thank you all so much for those responses. Those are great responses. So we're also gonna, skip this. We are short on time, so there's that. All right, so how can you be an influencer? Again, we talked about it, sharing resources with friends, making them aware of consequences, of the dangers. You can, again, we talked about this as well, post positive and empowering messages and resources on social media. social media has a lot of positive power to be used as an influencer. You can be your own influencer. Like us, we have our own Instagram. We post a lot of great resources and information. And you yourself as an individual can be an advocate and be an influencer and speak out against this problem as well. Dr. Ickes, I think you want to talk on this one here.
Yeah, let's actually show that advocate clip real quick.
Vikings kicking out tobacco from Bryan, Texas. Educating our adults or our faculty is really helpful to us because they don't really know what e-cigarettes look like.
And a lot of the youth, they don't necessarily use like traditional cigarettes. They're more so geared towards the electronic cigarettes, the Juuls, the vapes, because they just see it all over social media or used by celebrities.
They think it's a cool thing to do when they record this on Snapchat and they do vape clouds. They don't know that it's also harmful.
Whatever they need to do to get the word out there, we're going to do it.
We had to take some baby steps. So the baby step happened to be the park ordinance. It banned all tobacco or all smoking in athletic complexes, parks.
We have a 30-second speech ready when we go to city council meeting.
I'm from VCOT, Vikings Kicking Out Tobacco, at Club at Bryan High.
I'm here today to talk to you about getting a smoke-free ordinance passed.
This bill, Tobacco 21, not only will it reduce death rates by 10%, but smoking rates by 12%.
The big goal is a smoke-free ordinance for all of Texas. We have a lot of work to do.
If we keep doing what we're doing, it will pay off.
People didn't know much about VCOT, but now they're like, oh yeah, VCOT, go kick out that tobacco.
Thanks. So I think this, you all have been introduced to so much valuable information. Thanks, Sierrah and Dillon. You did a great job. And I love kind of wrapping up with that advocate video because it really reinforces that you young people and your generation and generations that will come after you, you have the power and the voice. And you're really the ones that can make a lot of great changes in your communities. Sometimes when we work with youth and young people, they say, well, my voice doesn't matter, I can't vote yet, so what can I do? I'll tell you what, the legislators, the lawmakers, the principals, the superintendents, they listen to you way more than they listen to somebody like me. I can come in there and say, hey, I did this research study and this is what I found, and they'll go, okay, that's lovely. But if you're a young person and you're living in a community and you say, this is how this impacts me, this is how this affects me, they are listening. They're all ears. So I just love that clip because it reinforces that you can come together and make change. So while it's important to talk to your friends and your family and share the facts, we can do more. And that's how we're really going to end this trend. So we know that when we were able to reduce smoking among youth and adults in this nation, it took a lot. But we already know what works, and we know that those things can work with e-cigarettes as well. So on your slide, you can see some of the things that we know that work. So prevention programs, kind of like our I Can End the Trend program, those marketing messages that are counter ads. So, we need to overcome all those industry marketing since they're spending $110 million. Making sure that quitting resources are affordable or free and available everywhere. And then the other thing is, how can we make these products less accessible? So getting them off the market, making them more expensive, and then, thinking about comprehensive policies. Like many of your communities may already have smoke-free policies, but do they include e-cigarettes? Are they enforced? And so we know that all of these things, we can come together and have a voice and say, we want this to happen in our community. And that's where you come in. That's where you can really be advocates to make some of these things happen. And so just a big win that we had this week. Next slide. Not in Kentucky yet, but we're getting there. So actually in Massachusetts, they just implemented and adopted this amazing comprehensive flavor policy. And so like Sierrah said, 8 in 10 youth start with flavors. And so if we can get rid of some of these flavors like gummy bears and cotton candy, most young people are not going to pick up the flavor that's called tobacco. And so that's a huge, huge win. And guess what? Youth helped make that policy change happen. And so while Kentucky, sometimes we seem like we face some barriers, we know that your voices matter. So I know that we're unfortunately not going to have a ton of time on this, but we're going to give you a 1-minute speed round to have you brainstorm what are things that you can do to help end this trend. Ready? Go. So what are things you can do to help end this trend? Think big picture, think your communities, your schools. Oh yes, advocate for a ban on flavor pods. I'm calling you tomorrow. Yes, telling people about the consequences. Making posters, putting in your schools. Yeah, making sure to share that factual information. Changing the culture, changing youth culture is important. And that's why we have to have conversations like this. And we have to talk about that manipulation, that social justice issue. These are all great ideas. I love them. So prevention club, yes. Okay, well, we would love to help you with that. So one of the things that we are hoping to do with our program is to help support you with some of those efforts. So if those are things that you want to incorporate into your school or your community, we're going to have additional training opportunities, ways to get involved. And so stay tuned for more info on that if you follow our social media. But just to wrap up, we have a challenge for you. Sierrah and Dillon, I'll let you quickly explain that.
Yeah, so if you guys want to join the challenge to win some cool swag or prizes, all you have to do is follow us on social media. It can be any of the 4 or all of the 4 if you're a rock star, and then play our bingo. So we will send a link. Dillon, if you want to go ahead and send that link in the chat. This is our advocate bingo. This is also within our social media. If you don't want to use this in the chat, you can take a screenshot with the document in the chat, and then you will win one of our prizes. And so all you have to do is email us proof that you followed our social media, email us the advocate bingo that has a bunch of different challenges on it. This could be 1 or 2 rows, columns, or if you're a superstar, you can do the entire square. And then just email us those at iconinthetrend@uky.edu, and we'll send you one of our cool prizes. So we have buttons, stickers, t-shirts, backpacks, pins, water bottles, these little notebooks. We have hand sanitizer, and then yeah, so you can you can also email us for questions or other ways and opportunities that you can make a difference with our help and support.
Okay, well, I think we are about out of time, but you guys have been an amazing audience. We love all of the interaction. Even though we can't see your faces, we're visualizing you and we're channeling all of your positive energy. But like Sierrah said, feel free to reach out to us, email us, connect with us on social media, and we're happy to keep answering those questions or support your efforts.
And thank you guys for following us on social media. We are getting a lot of activity right now. So I just want to thank you guys. Go ahead and do that bingo and then email it to us and we'll give you a prize.